Raymond just hit $1 million. 30 years of saving, and his first feeling wasn't excitement, it was panic. Because he ran the numbers and realized that $1 million in 2026 only generates about $40,000 a year in safe income. That's $3,333 a month. And his monthly expenses are $4,500. He saved for 30 years and still can't fully retire. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why and what the number actually needs to be. Hit subscribe while you're here. I make these videos to give you the kind of financial clarity most people never get. Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth about $1 million in 2026. It is not what it used to be. In the year 2000, $1 million had the purchasing power of roughly $1.78 million in today's money. In 1980, that same million was worth the equivalent of over $3.8 million today. The number hasn't changed. The world around it has. This is inflation. And it doesn't just affect groceries and gas. It quietly erodes the real value of every savings milestone you've ever set for yourself. So, when Raymond hit $1 million, he didn't actually hit what his parents' generation would have considered $1 million. He hit something closer to $560,000 in 1990 purchasing power. The goalpost didn't just move. It was never where he thought it was. But inflation is just the beginning of the story. Because even if we accept today's dollars at face value, $1 million doesn't generate as much income as most people think. Here's the math. The most widely used framework for sustainable retirement withdrawals is the 4% rule. It says that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio per year, your investments have historically grown enough to sustain that withdrawal indefinitely. 4% of $1 million is $40,000 a year. That's $3,333 a month. Now, Raymond and Carol live in a modest home in a mid-sized American city. Their mortgage is paid off, they drive older cars, they don't travel extravagantly, and their monthly expenses still run about $4,500 a month. Utilities, food, insurance, car maintenance, the occasional dinner out. $3,333 a month from their portfolio doesn't cover that, not even close. And that's before we talk about healthcare. According to 2026 data from the Milliman Retiree Health Cost Index, the average healthy 65-year-old couple retiring this year needs between $320,000 and $637,000 saved just to cover healthcare costs over the course of their retirement. That range depends on the type of coverage they choose, but even at the low end, $320,000, that's nearly a third of Raymond's entire $1 million, earmarked for medical bills alone. So, Raymond's $1 million, the milestone he spent 30 years building, has to cover a $4,500 monthly lifestyle, a potential $320,000 to $637,000 healthcare bill, and still last potentially 25 to 30 years. Suddenly, the number doesn't feel so large, but here's something Raymond hasn't fully accounted for yet. And this is where it gets even more complicated. Not all of his $1 million is actually accessible. Raymond's net worth breaks down like this. About $380,000 is the equity in his home. It's real value. It shows up on paper, but Raymond can't spend it without selling the house. And if he sells the house, he needs somewhere else to live, which costs money. The equity is locked. Another $420,000 sits in his 401 Kia retirement account. Also real. Also locked, at least partially. If Raymond tries to withdraw from it before age 59 and a half, he pays a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of regular income taxes. And even after that age, every dollar he pulls out is taxed as ordinary income. His $1 million retirement account doesn't actually deliver $1 million. The government is a silent partner in that account, and they get their cut first, which leaves Raymond with roughly $200,000 in liquid, accessible savings. That's the money he can actually reach without penalties, taxes, or selling his house. $200,000. That's his real financial runway. And it changes everything about how Raymond needs to think about the next phase of his life. Now let's cross the street for a moment, because Raymond has a neighbor named Derek. Derek drives a new SUV every 3 years. He has a boat in the driveway. He wears an expensive watch. He takes his family on 2 international vacations a year. And every time Raymond sees Derek, Derek seems to be doing extremely well. Here's what Raymond doesn't know. Derek earns good money, about $180,000 a year. But Derek's monthly obligations are staggering. Car payment, boat payment, a mortgage on a house slightly too large for his needs, credit card balances from the vacations, private school fees for 2 kids, and a gym membership he uses twice a month. Derek's net worth, all assets minus all debts, is approximately $47,000. He is one job loss away from a financial crisis. He looks wealthy. He is not wealthy. Raymond, with his $1 million, imperfect, partially locked, not as powerful as he hoped, is worth more than 20 times what Derek is worth. Raymond is wealthy. He just doesn't look it. And this is one of the most important lessons in personal finance. Wealth is almost never what it looks like from the outside. The flashiest person in the room is rarely the wealthiest. The wealthiest person in the room is usually the quietest one, the one who has been making boring, consistent, unglamorous decisions for decades. So, what does Raymond actually do from here? First, reframe the milestone. $1 million is a genuine achievement. Fewer than 10% of Americans reach it. It is not the finish line Raymond imagined, but it is an extraordinary rest stop on a longer journey. The goal now is to keep building, not to stop. Second, understand what's actually liquid. Raymond needs a clear picture of exactly how much of his wealth he can access, when, and at what cost. Home equity, retirement accounts, and liquid savings all behave differently, and treating them as one number leads to bad decisions. Third, build a withdrawal strategy. Raymond and Carol need to decide how they're going to draw income from their portfolio in a way that minimizes taxes, preserves capital, and accounts for healthcare. This is where a fee-only financial planner earns their fee. Fourth, ignore Derek. Derek's lifestyle is not a benchmark. Derek's lifestyle is a warning. Here's the bigger picture that Raymond is starting to understand, and that most people never do until it's too late. The number was never really the point. The point was always the income that number could generate, the freedom that income could buy, the options it could keep open. $1 million generating $40,000 a year in sustainable income is a foundation. It is not a ceiling. Raymond can keep adding to it. He can reduce his expenses to close the gap. He can use his home equity strategically. He can work part-time doing something he actually enjoys for a few more years while the portfolio keeps compounding. The milestone wasn't the destination. It was proof that the system works, that 30 years of discipline produced a real result, and the same system that got Raymond to $1 million will take him further if he stays in it. Raymond looks at his account again. Still $1 million. Still not what he imagined. But for the first time, he understands exactly what it is and exactly what to do next. That clarity is worth more than the number. If this gave you a clearer picture of what your own financial milestones actually mean, subscribe for more videos that break down the things about money that nobody explains properly. I'll see you in the next one.